If you're thinking of starting a business in 2024, you are in the right place. Let's take a look at what the cards have to say. Now, I already did a reading for those of you who already have a business, so go ahead and click this link above to view that. But this is a card reading for anyone who's thinking about starting a side hustle or maybe taking their side hustle into a legitimate business for the year 2025. I am going to just draw 5 cards here in just a moment. And I'm using the traditional Smith-Rider-Waite deck. And I just pulled out 5 cards, and we have one on the shadow. All right. So here in the order that I drew them, we have the 7 of Swords. We have the 3 of Pentacles. We have the Page of Wands. We have the Ace of Cups. And we have the Tower. And on the very back of the deck, we have the 5 of Wands. So one thing, if you're thinking of starting a business for 2025, I would be very wary of the people that you are involving with this plan that you're putting on this side. So I paired together the Ace of Cups with the 7 of Swords and the 3 of Pentacles. To me, the 3 of Pentacles really represents where you're at right now with your craft. This is kind of like the card of the apprentice. So you haven't really arrived at full mastery at all, but you know enough to sort of get started to say like, this is the work that you're doing. And so just keep that in mind that you're still kind of like early on your journey with your craft. Or even if you have like years of experience, you're still early on in the journey of trying to figure out how to run your own business and do your own freelancing. So obviously, if you're in that place where you don't really know what to do, if you're in the place where you don't know what to do, a common first step is to find and seek mentorship or seek help. That would be, if I saw like the 6 of Pentacles here, I would say that happens. But obviously you're going to be looking for advice. You're going to be looking online for people like me. You're going to be looking for people in your community to create networks and relationships with. And so that's where the Ace of Cups comes in for this part of the reading, is I feel like there's a lot of budding new people as well as new clients, right? That's a whole relationship that you create. And so this is where the 7 of Swords comes in with this whole perspective, is not only you making new connections within your networking, within your community, but also you're making new client connections. And I would just be very careful about how open and trusting you are in those negotiations. Obviously, as a business person, we always go through trials and tribulations, and managing client relations and networking connections is like a big part of that. And often if we don't have boundaries in place, people will 7 of Swords us. They will try to take as much as they can or skirt away with as much, or it just will feel a little bit loosey-goosey. And a lot of times it's not out of malice. It's simply because you're not setting the expectations for what it is to work with you or what it is that they can expect from you. So they're trying to get as much as they can. Of course, there's some people out there who want to get everything for free, always want to get a low price. So I would just be, I feel like this is inevitable, especially when you're starting, because you don't know what you don't know. But I would just really think about what are the relationships that you want to craft and what are the expectations you're going to create for people so they know how to interact with you and your work. And so that brings me over here to this side. The Tower. This is a card that a lot of people don't like to see, but honestly, I think we're better for it. And then from the Tower, I believe the Page of Wands is going to come through. So the Tower is the building of this business or the building of something in your life. I feel like it's going to shake and crumble and sort of fall apart, but in a good way. Maybe you're setting, again, those expectations. Maybe you're envisioning something in your mind that actually can't come to fruition or actually isn't something that you can bring into reality at this point. Sometimes we set really high standards for ourselves and we fail to meet them. Maybe this is something else in your life that due to your business, due to the energy you have to put into it, you won't be able to then also feed into that thing. So then you'll start to see the cracks in the foundation. You see this a lot with people in your life. Maybe you don't have as close relationships or friendships simply because they're not also a business owner or freelancer. And so be aware or open to the idea that if you're entering and creating your own business, your life is not going to stay the same. It simply will not, because you're entering a new journey. And so this is inevitable. Now, from these Tower moments, I believe there's going to be a Page of Wands moment where you're going to see clear signs and indications as to what your path ahead should look like. You might get key opportunities opening up for you once this starts to fall apart, but you might not get these big opportunities until that point. So it might feel like you're kind of stuck in the mud. I feel like this is kind of where the Five of Wands comes in, which is like inner fighting and conflict. Like, I think you're going to be going through a huge trial of growth and a huge period of maybe things feeling a little bit uncertain. But that's like, we don't do business, or we don't create our own business because we want everything to be easy peasy. We do it typically because there's some sort of inner drive within us as entrepreneurs to be our own boss, to set expectations, to create our own work, and to do things that actually funnel directly back into us instead of doing work to benefit somebody else, your boss, your CEO, the shareholders, whatever it be. So I definitely get like a lot of themes, like I said, of conflict, which I think also sort of speaks to this journey over here with the Seven of Swords and the Three of Pentacles. It's often said in business that business is like a shortcut to like self-development and self-growth. Like, it truly does make you examine yourself in a way that you never had before. And so I think a bit of those growing pains sort of relates to the Tower and to this card and overall to this entire reading. So don't expect it to be easy peasy lemon squeezy. That doesn't mean that it has to be hard and difficult and awful. You should still enjoy what you're doing. But like I said, it's ushering you into a new stage of life. Now, before you go, we're going to pull a couple of energetic archetypal oracle cards just to get a little bit more clarity as to what energy should we be stepping into for 2025. So the first thing we're going to pull is a plant archetype. So on the top, we have courage, which I feel is very fitting. You definitely need to have courage if you're thinking of striking up your own freelancing, side hustle, business, whatever it may be. You need a lot of courage. And on the back of this deck is humility, which is yet another thing you need a lot of. I feel like these two cards, when we think about that previous tarot reading of the conflict and the Tower moment and things kind of falling apart and things getting difficult, give yourself some grace. Give the people in the situation with you, whether it's a client, whether it's a networking establishment, something of that nature, just give them grace and humility, and have the courage to be the bigger person. Have the courage to really put yourself out there. And so for the actual plants, we have, I think this is pronounced Borage, and this would be Dandelion. All right, and now I'm going to pull some archetypal cards to see like what exactly is the energy that you're being asked to step into. Who are you going to be showing up as in this new era of your life? And we have fate on the top and the words on the bottom, accepting help and guidance. How fascinating. So one thing about fate is it just kind of happens to us. Like, we're not aware of where we begin, where we are, and where we end up in life, right? That's kind of what fate decides. And through that, there's a little bit of surrender, but also, as I mentioned, like the conflict part that we were talking about in those Tower moments, you might not completely understand why these things are happening to you. It might not make a lot of rational sense. It might feel like fate is fucking with you. There's a couple of things that could be happening, but the point is you're not supposed to be in complete and total control of these moments. They're just going to be unfolding for you. But however, there might be somebody there to guide you through these moments. So keep sort of like an openness to accepting help, to accepting guidance to get you through these really, really rough times. And that's especially kind of doubled down since the Poet is on the bottom of this deck, and this card literally says relationships and vulnerability. This is kind of like that bleeding heart, the being open, the allowing yourself to be seen and be vulnerable and be perceived by others. I feel like this Poet card also might not reflect, but might, what's the word I'm looking for? Encompass the bright-eyed and bushy-tailed way you might be entering this new journey, this new phase with your business. So also going to keep that in mind, that, you know, the visionary part, the rose-colored glasses part of it all before you actually get in and get the work done, can definitely lean into Poet energy, which I think you need that in order to even get started. So don't banish that part of yourself, but just be aware that like this energy is just, it's not always going to be there. But if you see it's gone or you feel like it's not lost at all, I feel like you can always tap it back into the Poet. So that is today's reading. If you want your own custom reading where we get into all these cards and I give you some direction for 2025, you want to book a Catalyst Tarot reading. This is for leaders, entrepreneurs, visionaries, pretty much anybody who has the get up and go to set their own path, but they're looking for that little extra burst of clarity for things to actually make sense, to get through those blocks that are in their way and to have that radical spark of alignment. This is not a 6-week program. This is not some sort of big mentorship thing. Girl, this is 45 minutes for you to just be locked back into place and know exactly what the fuck you're doing. So if you're interested in getting a reading just like this, and set up your best 2025, go ahead and book that down below. But until then, I will see you in my next video. I hope you have a great 2025 and make sure to check back for more business, branding, and tarot.